Okay, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Nathan, would you take the roll, please?
Councilmember McPherson?
Here.
Councilmember Biggs?
Here.
Councilmember Rocco?
Present.
Council President Bruce?
Here.
Mayor Steer?
Here, and if you'll join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First item is consent agenda. Any questions or comments?
I'm good.
Nope.
I move we approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any discussion on that motion? All right, Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocco?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. That takes us to public comment. Is there anybody who wishes to address the council? I didn't have anybody sign in. Okay, seeing none. First item then is the public hearing. Consideration to approve case number 2601DA Development Agreement. Troy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. For the record, Troy B. Hunan, Senior Planner, CUNA Development Services Department. So the application before you this evening is the development agreement modification for the Seasons Creek subdivision. And they're proposing to modify it, and also at a future hearing, they would update the preliminary plat. Tonight, we're just discussing the ability to modify the development agreement. This site is located east of Black Cat Road and is approximately 1,290 feet north of CUNA Road. The applicant requests a development agreement modification for Seasons Creek subdivision, and they propose to keep the same number of total residential lots at 637. The site was annexed. And this is just a little bit of history on the project because this is one of those that stretches way back into yesteryear. The site was annexed into the city on May 16th, 2006 as an integral part of the Local Improvement District, or the LID, in connection with the current moratorium for building due to sewer capacity and serviceability. This project was presented to the then City Council December 4th, 2007 as a 185-acre planned unit development, a rezone, a preliminary plat, a development agreement application proposing the C2 and R6 zones. It included a preliminary plat for 637 lots, 37 common lots, and for 1 commercial lot. The council voted at that time to approve the applications and granted the request. On June 23rd, 2008, the development agreement for this project was recorded with the county recorder's office. In about 2011 or 2012, the then owner of the property petitioned the city to be excused from the LID and the obligations associated with that, and that request was granted by the city in 2011 or 12. The recorded development agreement contains project-specific information, such as, on page 1 of the development agreement, it does state that the rezone ordinance had already been adopted, amending the zoning ordinance, as in it was already previously accomplished. However, there is no record of the rezone ordinance being recorded with the county, so while the current GIS maps at the county and here at the city, it does show that it is an ag zone in reality, it really is zoned R6 and C2, and those are the recognized zones by the recorded development agreement and its approval. In section 3.5 of the development agreement, it states that construction shall commence within 365 days of the effective date. In the event it does not commence, the developer would be found in default of the agreement. However, the city nor the developer initiated the process to remove that development agreement. Sometime before 2020, the project was sold and the current developer purchased the property. On August 30th, 2022, the current developer submitted an application for Seasons Creek North, which represents approximately 1/3 of the original approved subdivision. The original 180 acres were split into approximately 3 subdivision applications, mainly due to ACHD requirements, because such a large and extended project would extend years out for a full build-out. Had the project come back after all these years as a single project, the requirements from ACHD would have been overwhelming. It was decided by the applicant and ACHD that 3 separate subdivision applications would be best, and that would allow ACHD, the city, EMS, and other agencies to have multiple chances to require current and appropriate requirements that would be based on known conditions as things continue to develop in the area and this project specifically. Now, this applicant is proposing the following: a rezone for the R6 and the commercial. There's approximately 104 acres of R6. There's approximately 6 acres of commercial. There's approximately 26 total acres of usable open space. The same number of home lots, including multiple large lots that are 11,000 square feet plus, and that's 98 lots that are that size. A gross density of approximately 3.6 dwelling units per acre, a net density of approximately 4.5 dwelling units per acre project-wide. They're proposing a ready-to-go 10-acre plus lot for the CUNA School District and also a 0.65 acre city utility lot to service the area. And with that, I will stand for any questions that you have about the application, noting that the applicant is here tonight and they have a presentation to make, and that will be on page 99 of your perspective. Sorry, page 99 of your packets.
Okay,
And,
questions
that I
for
have
Troy?
questions.
I have a quick one.
Yes.
So going back to the part about the original zone, when you mentioned that the county, it was never recorded with the county,
Correct.
this would, assuming this would be approved, then that wouldn't matter anymore, right? Does it even matter if this didn't get approved? Does the county, as far as the county's concerned, is it still agriculture, or? Because I know you said that we show on the GIS that it's R6C1.
That's a good question. For the record, Troy Behunin. Currently, the county views this as an agricultural zoned site, but the approval is R6 and C2. So even without this project, the city would still, to be completely legit, the city should still record an ordinance.
And rezone it, at some point it has to be rezoned. I mean, obviously, if this gets approved.
Not rezoned, it would have to have a zoning ordinance recorded. It's already been rezoned.
Okay. I'm trying to think practically what this really means.
The site is zoned R6 and C2.
Okay.
But by city standards only, not county, correct?
By city approval,
Or
yes.
city approval, yes.
Yeah, the county doesn't approve the zoning, only the city
No.
council does.
But it was never recorded there.
Correct.
So, Mr. Mayor, I have a
Yes,
question.
Councilmember Bruce.
So you're just saying that in order to reconcile that, we would just pass an ordinance updating for the original development agreement?
Possibly, that is one option, yes, but yes.
And I have another
Yes,
question.
go ahead.
And then the 365 days, was that to start the project from the original development agreement?
It was to commence construction, yeah.
And so at the end of 300, I'm sorry,
You're fine, go
at the end of 365 days, did it revert back to prior to that approval, or?
In order to revert back to any kind of zoning, it would have needed an action by one party or the other, and the, at the time, owner and nor the city actually initiated that action. So the zoning that was approved back in 2007 remains as an approved zoning. But yes, to revert, there would have to be a
The
termination
city
action.
would have had to have taken action.
Correct, and it's been 17+ years.
Mr. Mayor, I got a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Troy, I don't want to get ahead of the presentation, but my question to you is, if the council denies this request, what are the most likely development options available to the applicant moving forward?
For the record, Troy B. Hoonan, that's a great question, Councilman Rocco. The future land use map actually shows this as medium density. So should the council choose to terminate the development agreement, then the options for any development, not just this developer, but for any developer, they could then try and exercise the full weight of the R6 zone, which is medium density. So we could be looking at a very different proposal at that time.
Right, so all the larger lots on the south would ultimately become R6s then, basically.
The likelihood is great.
Right, okay, thank you.
I have one more.
Yes, Councilmember Bruce.
If the council did decide to move forward and terminate that original agreement, would it have to be annexed back into the city again?
For the record, Troy B. Hoonan,
Would it come-
Councilmember Bruce, actually, no, would not. It was only a revert back to ag. It was not a kick out of the city.
Okay.
And just as a reminder, this was annexed as a part of the LID, which was
Right,
to fund
look-
the,
Yeah.
yeah. So annexation does not get affected at all.
Anything further? All right, if the applicant would like to.
Thank you, Troy.
Thank you.
Whenever you guys are ready.
Yes.
All right. Good evening. My name's Elizabeth Kekaritz. I'm Land Use Counsel on this application. I'm 601 Bannock, Boise, Idaho. I'm with Givens Pursley Law Firm. With me here today is the developer, Tim Eck. We also have our engineer, Dave Crawford. I, once again, love actually coming to CUNA. You guys have some of the best staff in the Treasure Valley. They return our phone calls. They're attentive. It's just really nice to call people and get them to call you back. Just to start, Troy did a really great job of going over the history of this project. But really what we're talking about here is a modernization of an already approved project, not a new entitlement request. As was discussed, the property was annexed and approved for development almost 2 decades ago, and the original DA contemplated residential and commercial development. What we're requesting today is just a modification to update and better reflect city standards, ACHD requirements, the school district needs, and a lot of today's transportation realities. As we know, traffic is a big deal in this area and in CUNA. The overall development pattern remains substantially consistent with the original concept plan while providing better connectivity, open space, and public facilities. We're simply requesting an updated development agreement for a previously approved development. Looking at, however I make this go down, the project, I'm sorry.
That's at night.
Is it this? This. Okay, apologize. Okay, you can see here where we're located, and the project realistically could not proceed and be developed until sewer service became available. It was effectively stalled for years because of the issues with obtaining a crossing, once Mr. Eck purchased the property, of obtaining a crossing over the railroad tracks and underneath or across somehow Indian Creek. These crossings were very difficult to obtain. No one ever likes working with the railroad on these sort of things. And the city was able to finally obtain railroad approval for the sewer crossing just in 2022. So that's a pretty recent approval. And it really would have been impossible to move forward with this until the city worked, and with the developer, everyone worked together to gain that sewer and railroad crossing there. You can see on the future land use map, as was mentioned, the property is generally designated medium density residential, which means that like a straight up R6 subdivision would be appropriate on a property like this. If this was denied, I already know where the question will be coming from. I don't know what the future approval, what the future map would look like, but I do anticipate that it would include pretty much close to an R6 straight up development throughout is what I would anticipate, without knowing that and with hoping we don't have to get there. The proposed zoning is, it has been that zone, the R6 and the C1 for the commercial lots. We don't know why this was never recorded, but it's pretty clear that it was rezoned. One of the things that we are asking to do, and are asking to do with our new site plan, as I'll discuss here, is we actually do want to do a bit of rezoning, not just zoning, but rezoning of the property to move the C1 area and to a different location on the property. It's also important to note that Tim Gordon did enter into this LID that financed the city's wastewater infrastructure. When he failed to develop within a year, no one tried to default. When he later came back and asked to be removed from the LID, once again, no one tried to default him. And no time, to our knowledge, over the past 16 years has the city ever declared this DAA in default. And we also don't know of any time when the city has defaulted a development agreement based solely on the passage of time, especially in this sort of instance where the infrastructure wasn't available. The city's own actions over the years reflect a recognition that development could not really proceed until that infrastructure was available. So a development modification is the most practical path forward. It largely reflects modern planning standards and agency requirements, and I'll go through each of these in depth here in a little bit. But the big one, the rezone portion, is here in the 2008. This was anticipated to be the commercial, and now we're moving that commercial down along Black Cat. The question really is not whether this area will eventually urbanize. The comprehensive plan obviously anticipates growth in the area. It's just how that growth is ultimately going to occur. And what you have here today is a clear framework for infrastructure, parks, parkways, commercial services, school facilities, and neighborhood design. You retain, by updating and going with this plan, the city retains certainty regarding those community benefits while allowing the development to proceed under more modern standards. One of the things, it's really hard to tell on things like this, but here you can see for a long time ACHD really loved cul-de-sacs. Now those are disfavored and there's pretty much no cul-de-sacs remaining. Connectivity is much bigger. Season Creek has been designed to be a complete self-contained community and not just a residential subdivision. There are the multiple housing types, including 90-plus large lots, which provide that range of housing, and also there's the walkable neighborhood. This is going to create some community-serving commercial area that will be really beneficial to really everyone who's living south of the tracks. On this one, I know I'm going to run out of time. Relocation of the commercial property. It was originally relocated in the north because Deer Flat Road was intended on going all the way across the property and connecting to Crimson Point. That is not happening now. Crimson, his point, has completely developed through there. And so it just isn't practical, nor does it make any sense to have this weird little area of commercial zoning here, when instead it makes a lot of sense to put it down here along Black Cat, where it's adjacent to some multi-use areas, and to that hard corner, down at the corner of Black Cat and Cuna. Moving on, they're also updating the roads. Originally, there were 3 accesses onto Black Cat. Now there's only 2. There's also a new north-south collector. There were streets winding around and you could get from top to bottom, but not anymore. Now these through streets meet better with ACHD standards. Importantly, one of the things that this does with traffic is that the entire Black Cat Road fronting this has to be widened and have have sidewalks on it. And so you can start, when this is done, and it will take sometime 8 to 10 years, you'll be able to walk from this intersection of Black Cat and Deer Flat, walk all the way through here for 2.5 miles through the South Madrone Heights, Madrone Village, and you have almost 2.5 miles of pedestrian connectivity to get people off the busy streets, to get them able to walk through these developments and really have a nice, it's gonna make it a much nicer place to be. There is the school site, worked very closely with the school to come up with the right location for this. They've approved this location. This was their preferred location. It's 10.5 acres. Right next to it is a large park that's been split into, it's about 4.5 acres, I think, along Indian Creek with all sorts of amenities, and eventually there'll be a greenbelt pathway along there as well. Open space, this is always, it's still in motion as we continue to work through things. But right now, these are the main open space areas are going to be those pathways and all the green belt along here, as well as connectivity in and through the development. It's too hard to go through that. Phasing, they are proposing once again the 3 preliminary plats, Season Creek North, Season Creek South, and Season Creek East. With this and with the development of this size, one of the things that you really obtain are economies of scale when it comes to development impact fees. Overall, Season Creek will be paying over $6.6 million in impact fees, which includes $3.6 million to ACHD, $1.14 million to fire, $1.6 million for parks, $172,000 for police. And so it really is trying to help pay for those improvements, for those services that come with development. In addition, just from when we did the original first, you don't have to do or ACHD does not require a traffic impact study at a DA modification. But when we did one originally for Season Creek North, there were some, the road widening was going to be required, as well as signalizing the intersection all the way as far north as Columbia and Black Cat. So just to conclude, Season Creek really helps complete the infrastructure that this area needs. It extends the roads, sidewalks, pathways, utilities, and public facilities in a coordinated manner. It's got the school site, commercial services, and connectivity that help create a really nice, complete neighborhood. It was approved many years ago, and it's been updated to serve today's community. We respectfully request that you evaluate this application on its merits and on the substantial public benefits that it offers. And we believe that this is a better product and project for CUNA than either the original 2008 plan or simply leaving the property undeveloped at this point.
Okay, any questions for the, yes, Councilmember Biggs?
This is just for reference. I'm curious on the map, the distance between the school site and, for that matter, the park and open space, and those are the railroad tracks?
Yes.
How far is that?
It's adjacent to the tracks.
So little kids in school right next to railroad tracks? Maybe Tim will comment on this.
I would ask Tim to comment
Yes.
on that.
Yes. Makes me a little nervous.
That's
We have
great.
canals, we have railroad tracks.
Councilmember Biggs, that is a great point. I would ask Tim to comment on that. I assume that that will be fenced, and that there would be fencing along the duration of this area.
Thank you.
Along here.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple questions.
Yes, Councilmember Rocco.
Do you have the slide of where you were showing the impact gains and all the data? I didn't see it up there, and I didn't see it in the packet.
I just did it after. There is not one, but I can tell you how I reached it. It's that ACHD impact fees are $5,803 per home, multiplied by 637 homes. Fire is $1,792 per residential home. Parks are $2,604, and police are coming in way behind at $271 per residence. That doesn't include any of the commercial space.
Got it. Mr. Mayor, I have another question. You said it was almost certain that if this got denied, that it's almost certain that it would come back with all R6. Maybe I'm naive, but explain to me the economics of this as to what would be the motivation of why would it come back all R6s?
The economics would be in that larger lots, you do make more money on a larger lot because it's larger, but if you can put more lots on the ground overall, you will make more money. At least that's my understanding of the economics of it. I'm not the builder, but the larger lots are more expensive.
Right. Again, maybe more of a naive question. Explain to me, if this does get denied, then you're gonna come back and it'll be almost certain to be all R6. Is that when the modification also gets addressed again, where it's gonna be relocating from Deer Flat down to Black Cat?
Well, so this is what, if we were to come back, if you deny the modification, the way it works, and you deny doing the modification, you can do that. You can say and come back with a different plan. We're not gonna change anything. You could deny the modification and say, and move to default the development agreement, which we really are hoping that you do not do, because we think this is a great plan. And at that point, a default, you have to have a public hearing on that. So you can't make up your minds ahead of time, but you have to have a public hearing on that
Got it.
default. Or you can say, we approve this, we approve this in form, and then it would get approved. And we would have the site plan attached, which is this site plan, and then in the future, we'd have to still come forward with a rezone to move the C1 currently it's C2 to the C1 area, with an approval, and because it just doesn't make sense. And then we would also come forward with preliminary plats at that point in time.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, anything further for the applicant? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing. I didn't have anybody besides the applicant sign up to testify. If you would like to sign in, you may do so. start with Tim Jensen.
Tim Jensen with CUNA School District, 711 East Porter Street here in CUNA. So I'll go ahead and address obviously the question with the safety. Fencing would be an obvious, safety fencing would be an obvious, probably at the top of the priority list, with location. But we appreciate the developer working with the district on this because the location of this meets a need for a school location on the other side of the tracks with the developments that are expanding out that direction. And so we certainly appreciate that partnership with the developer. And one of the things that school districts, CUNA, that excites us about this is I've been up here in front of you before and talking about and been asked about school capacities and how can you get up here and talk about this when we've got these and with the passage of House Bill 636 recently, it is going to give school districts in Idaho some flexibility in how they spend facility monies. Now there's definitely stipulations that are laid out there as to when those monies can be spent on building projects and adding to wings or building new buildings. But there's already a buzz going around within the school communities that are saying, hey, what is that? And I actually have a meeting with our incoming superintendent tomorrow to talk about this specific thing and kind of getting our district's plan on what this is. And I say all that in the sense of, when we talk about the build out being, 8 years, 10 years, whatever that may end up being, what that does is starts to give districts, that opportunity to start planning for future sites and stuff like that. And so it's kind of an exciting time for us to be able to better answer some of those questions about capacities in the district and work directly with these developers and say, okay, here's this school site, here's our plan, here's, what our timeline looks like to when we would be able to spend those 636 or those monies from the 636 bill on those. And so altogether it's kind of an exciting opportunity for us. But going back to the question about safety, that is first priority no matter what. And even as a district right now, we're looking at plans of how we can better make our current campuses more safe with perimeter fencing, our corridors, when people come in, having to buzz in and those type of things. So it's a priority all the time for the district. And I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Jensen?
May I have a question?
Okay, Councilmember Rocco.
Tim, how many, year to date, how many school sites do we have that have not been built on yet?
Gonna test me on that one. I think it's 5, if I recall. I'm just trying to visualize the map in and I'm talking about property that we own.
Yeah.
One of them that we have has capacity for 2 school sites, for a middle school and an elementary. And this one would be an elementary site.
Right, so would this be a 5th or a 6th?
5th.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Biggs.
And will this school, when you're talking about the 636 funds, that can't build a school on its own, right? We couldn't build a new school with that. It would still require a bond.
Well, so that's why I need to have this meeting. I don't want to speak unintelligently about it, but I know I just met with the developer the other day, and one of the finance officers from West Ada School District actually made a presentation that this is going to help school districts. It's going to help alleviate their reliance on levies and bonds. And so we want to do our own digging into that to make sure that when I come and speak to you again about that. But according to what we have seen, that yes, it could be used to building structures that wouldn't, it might help us to have to pass a bond for half of what we used to have to ask for one, because we could use part of this for building a structure and, a smaller portion of a bond to be able to put one up. So, like I said, we're in the infancy stages of it, but people I've talked to in other districts are very excited about the opportunity that this is going to give districts to meet some of those facility needs that they have. So,
Thank you.
Anything further?
I have one.
Yes, Councilmember Bruce.
Can you tell me the last time a bond was passed in the city of Cuna?
2017,
And is that when you built
Swan Falls.
Swan Falls?
Yeah.
And does this property, do you have is it first right of refusal the same way, or are they turning it over to you, to the school district, no matter what?
My understanding of this is for CUNA School District, no matter what, and I'll ask the developer to clarify on that. I don't have the MOU in front of me specifically with the wording, but different than another one where it was the first right of refusal on it, so.
Okay, and we can ask them when they come back up.
And one more.
Yes, Councilmember Bruce.
And if we didn't get a school built there, what schools would this development, where would these children go?
It's gonna be, this will be directly, Crimson Point is gonna be specifically one that they would go into. Part of it possibly is going to feed into Indian Creek Elementary as well, but then CUNA Middle School, then, CUNA High School and Swan Falls combined, depending on where the kids are.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Well, I actually do have one
Yes,
more.
Councilmember Bruce.
After you have that meeting, I'd still love that capacity plan for the future.
That's what-
If you could tell a new superintendent, because, you know, it's hard for us when we hear everything from our constituents about the capacity at schools, but yet we show up here and we're like, hey, we're good to go. But then we know that the schools are heavily burdened right now.
Agreed, and that's why I think there's that excitement, not just in CUNA, but in other districts as well, to start having these talks about those plans.
Thank you.
Yep,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
Diana Sanders.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I am Diana Sanders, and I live at 3475 West Grace May Lane, which is just to the west of this development. So it's been 20 years since they first came to CUNA asking for approval. Most of the people that live in that area are no longer there, so no one's aware of what they're proposing. I think it needs to be presented to the City Council and the P&Z all over again. Because when you do a development agreement and you don't comply with the 365 days, it kind of voids that development agreement out. And yes, you can go and take it back, but I think they're saying, well, we could do more density. Well, our property, which is across the street, is either agriculture or it's an R2. So we've asked in the past at hearings that they put larger lots along Black Cat as a transition to the agricultural properties. And I think that's an appropriate request. One of the other things is that they've never addressed the crossing for the railroad on Black Cat and Greenhurst. And that is a major crossing. And traffic backs up quite a ways already when there's a train going there. And so they've never talked to the Union Pacific. I talked to them years ago, and they would definitely like the developer to come and talk to them, do a turn lane or something, because it gets really crazy at that intersection. We've lived out here for over 40 years, and so we've seen a lot of change, and we understand development's gonna come, but I think it needs to be the best for CUNA and for the neighborhood. And straight R6 is not a good thing when you're going from R6 to an R2, we have 1.5 to 3 acre parcels. And some of the other neighbors have 5 acre parcels. They're zoned RR in the county. And as far as the rezone, if you don't do an ordinance for the R6, It's basically didn't happen. And that's how the county looks at it. You guys may have approved it, but they didn't go further and do the proper steps to rezone that property. So I think I would like for you guys to have them go back, have neighborhood meetings with whatever they're gonna do, and allow all the people over there a chance to comment.
Thank you.
Okay?
Do you have any questions?
Diana? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Barbara Johnson.
Good evening, Council and Mr. Mayor. I'm Barbara Johnston, 392 North Black Cat Road, CUNA. Sam and I own the property, the 60 acres directly south on the corner. So this property is next to ours on our north side for the length of our property. I was looking at this agenda. I'm not necessarily opposed to this. I know it's going to be developed. I was looking at the agenda when it came out Friday, and it was like, I've never seen this plan before. We've had neighborhood meetings and neighborhood meetings. This is a new one. So I don't know how the communication's going. I don't know if they assume that it's just gonna go. I'm not unhappy about it. I think I just wonder about the process. It's not bad. It's R4, it's R6. It's not as dense as it was. The last plan we saw was R6 with a little bit of R4. It did have a larger park, a couple larger parks, talked about a pool, talked about some better amenities that are not in this, but with the trade-off of the bigger, I don't know. Do remember that Madrone is subdivisions directly south on that 40 acres, but they're gonna take a road that goes north and south through. That's also their subdivision. It does not have a park at all. It has an open area that needs to be developed, but it's a pretty small area. So I was expecting those kids to use the park up there. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they use the school and that's fine. And then there's also Madrone Village across the street that was approved. It has, you know what it has. But I was looking at, in the last 5 years, there's been 1,100 acres of property approved to be divided R6 or above. I did see one like R4, 40 acre area, but other than that, it's R6, R12, R20. That's a lot. I mean, it talks about in the Envision CUNA plan, we'll have a variety of housing. We have a variety of housing over R6. You know, we need to get something a little more upper edge. Houses that, if you lived in a subdivision now, wanted to move to a bigger house, nicer community, I looked today online, there's two. One new one in Ligaro, one in Sterling Heights. That's your options right now. I mean, I think that we really need some things to keep the families here. If their young professionals are moving here with their families, which is great, but we want them to stay. We want them to stay and make a community and be able to, I mean, more expensive houses appreciate more. Really no sense to make little houses. But other than it's kind of feeling like the Twilight Zone, that we've been doing this since '08 and now it's like something new. Whatever you guys decide, I mean, it's gonna be developed, so, right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sam Johnson. You have very nice handwriting, Sam.
I know, it's really improved since first grade, huh? Your mother would be proud. Sam Johnston, 392 North Black Cat Road. I'm south of this property, my wife and I, and I've got my wife threw this at me. It's a deal of the sign out front of the house. So that's when this meeting's supposed to be happening. So anyway, had it really up there. Somebody hit this sign with a car, tore it up. It was right next to the road. as you can see how close it is to the road. Anyway, this is the first time we've seen this plan, and now we've got commercial property right next to my property. 5 deals of commercial property. And my big question is, there's only 2 entrances into this subdivision. How are these people gonna get into this commercial property? Are they coming through my driveway to get to there? Or I don't see a proposal how that's gonna happen. So, and my wife and I, we've been to all the meetings that we could do, and this is the first time we've seen this new plan. This new commercial next to us and so forth. And I think the process is being hurried a little bit and, well, changed from May 5th till now. And so some of the people that were gonna be here for the meeting are not here because the meeting's changed. And it's kind of I think the city needs to throw this back to the planning and zoning and have it redone, because it's not the same plan that was voted in 18 years ago. So anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you.
And we did, so the meeting on May 5th, we did actually have. It just was tabled until this meeting, but we did ask at that time if anybody was here that couldn't come back tonight, and there wasn't anybody that said they couldn't, so we did it.
Okay.
We did officially tabled it until a date certain, so.
signs are still the same.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Lane Thornton.
Lane Thornton, 3224 Swan Falls Road. First of all, I have an economic interest in this property. I'm Caddy Corner. I own 80 acres there, then I also own a couple 80s across the road. And this, I look at this 2 ways. This will bring sewer and water to my property, which will make my property more valuable. I've been offered money for mine already. But in the meantime, we still want to farm, and that also has an economic interest to me as well, because it'll put a burden on us as a farm. When you take farmland, let's say farmland between Cuna and Meridian, and then you go out south, you know, maybe Homedale or Marcine, or even out south of Nampa in the Dry Lake area, there's an entirely different amount of rent that is commanded. There might be some of that the developers or the investors just want somebody just to farm it, and so they don't want any rent at all. They just want somebody to farm it. If nobody farms it, then it just goes dry, and of course they may have to pay more taxes. They lose their exemption. But if you could get out south where it's year-round farm ground, then they demand a lot more rent as well. But also too, want to kind of touch on the development agreement a little bit. When I read that, it's that one line says if there isn't any work done in 365 days, that this agreement is null and void. It doesn't go on and say that, you know, a lot of contracts will go on and the next line after that will say somebody has to, within so much time, has to file a letter saying that it is null and void, that they want out of it. And I also too want to kind of address the LID. It was said that the owner at that time came to the city and wanted out of the LID, and that's not really how that went. That was a full-blown lawsuit by landowners that got out of the LID because they filed a lawsuit against the city that cost a lot of money. And I would think that just by itself would cause this development agreement to be, you know, not viable anymore, just for that reason, because the LID, they got clear out of it. So, but also I too just, You know, I have an economic interest here as well, and I look at this both ways. Do we want to keep farming, or do we want to, you know, put our land up for sale and sell it at some point, which probably we will, because it'll make it harder to farm. You know, you take, you know, we also have a place out on Cunamora Road that we farm, and since Meta's been being built, from about 4:30 or 20 after 4 to almost 6 o'clock, the cars back up at Cunamora and Cloverdale, either from a mile to beyond. Even so far, you can't even see them out that far. And when we are trying to harvest a crop, and we're trying to get out on the road at that time of day, you know, for harvesting beets or harvesting silage corn, that's going to cost us more money. And so any type of traffic that you put on is an interest to us economically. It's gonna put more burden on us. You know, people love to have open space, and they love to see these fields out, you know, in between subdivisions.
Sir, that's your time if you can
That'll-
finalize your comments.
Thank you. They love to see these open fields, but they have no idea what it takes to farm them. We have equipment that is up to 25 feet wide, and we have to move that on the road, which, you know, we try to do it at certain times of day when there is less traffic, but sometimes that always doesn't work out. So anyway, that costs us more money. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for? All right,
All right, thank you.
very much.
Thank you, Mr. Thornton.
All right, and that is all I had. Anybody else want to testify? Okay. Would you like to step up to answer further?
Thank you. Elizabeth Keckerit, 601 Bannock, Land Use Council for the developer. Let me find. I think I can clean up a couple points of confusion that a couple people had. Just because the land use process is kind of confusing. It's not necessarily very straightforward if you don't do this all the time. The prior neighborhood agreements were on the Season Creek North subdivision, which is just the northern portion of this. It did not include this full amount, which is why the rest of this is now being seen. It is being seen for the first time today. And how the modification process works, this comes straight to you. It doesn't go through the planning and zoning first. And so this bigger picture has been on the property for a long time. This one over here on 2008. But what we came forward originally to neighbors with was the Season Creek North subdivision portion of it, which is just this portion of it, not the entire thing. And so this is something that looks different. As far as the commercial properties go, there will of course be a backage agreement and cross-access. You come in here, and then there will be the cross-access through these properties here. We will figure out a way to have the appropriate road system through this area, so no one will be going through the Johnstons or the Thorntons property. As far as what the agreement says, nowhere does it say that the agreement will actually be null and void if commencement doesn't start within 365 days. It says if the developer fails to commence construction, the developer shall be in default of the agreement. However, in order to default an agreement, then the city has to take certain steps that are taken out, that are set forth in section 5.1, and those steps have never been taken. ACHD, as far as the intersection goes further to the north, ACHD is proposing a roundabout at this intersection, and property will be dedicated for that depending on the timing and how things develop. The developer may ultimately be responsible for that roundabout, but certainly they'll be asked to give up property for that. Schools, I'm glad Tim Jensen was here to talk about the schools. One other school that we anticipate that the kids would go to, at least especially until CUNA School District is able to construct a school here, is that I don't remember if it was Gem Prep or Sage, but there is a charter school that's been proposed to go in Madrone Heights, which then will, with this, be entirely walkable through the subdivisions to the south, so the kids would be able to walk to get there. This is, the school district lot was something new with this subdivision. It was not originally proposed, but there is the need out there for a lot south of the tracks. And so that's something that Tim Eck did decide that was important to him. And in this case, it's a straight up, this lot's for this school district. There's not any of the other wiggle room that exists in some of the other agreements. As far as that go, we believe that this proposal is it's a lot. We recognize it's a lot. And this is gonna take 8 to 10 to 12 years to fully develop. But one of the benefits in doing a project like this is that you have certainty on what's getting developed. There's a timeline. It's not piecemeal. It's not, here's a 40 and here's a 40 and here's this and here's that. You really have the certainty of this full, complete community. It has the public utility lot for the utilities to come across the river. It has the park. It has the school site. It has commercial that will be walkable. It has pedestrian pathways throughout. It has a wide variety of homes, including the lots that abut onto, I believe it was I forgot their names. The Thorntons and the Johnstones are the largest lots in the subdivision, will be the ones that are abutting up onto their properties. For all these reasons, we do think that this is a really great option for the city of Kuna. It's safer, it's a more complete transportation corridor. People will be able to turn off and go all the way through on collector roads. And so we ask that you do approve the modifications with this new updated site plan.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes,
Thank you,
Councilmember
Elizabeth.
Rocco.
I'm trying to stay focused here as to why we're here. We're here for a modification, right? But I do want to ask the question. You said 6, 8, 10 years before you'll see full-out development. But the north is the first one, correct? And what would you anticipate that the north gets built out? How long are we talking?
I would anticipate, and the developer is here, but I believe probably everything's on about a 4 or 5 year timeline, each one. 60 lots a year.
Got it. And when would that possibly begin?
I could not imagine anyone, if this is approved, we still have to come back for the rezone, which we would, to move the commercial around, which we would do concurrent with the preliminary plat, which does require neighborhood meetings, a hearing in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission, a hearing in front of you for approval, then construction drawings. 18 months minimum, more likely 2 years.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, further questions?
Yes, sir. Hi,
Councilmember Biggs.
Going back to I know it's about a mile north, but has there been any talks with ACHD about, that would still be Ada County, Greenhurst and Black Cat, I think it was mentioned earlier about that, when there's a train there, it blocks up the intersection pretty bad. And if you had this kind of density, additional density, I just don't know if you had those discussions at all, and who would be responsible for like creating a turn lane or something like that.
That's a great question. We did originally have a traffic impact study done for Season Creek North, and I'm gonna try to see if that intersection was studied or not. All I have is sort of
I know we're getting the cart way before the horse, but
Yeah.
it is a concern.
I know there was not a condition of approval associated with that intersection. I don't know if it was studied or not, or what the results were. But that would be something that I know that intersection would, I expect that intersection would have been included in what was studied,
Thank you.
but I don't know.
Okay, further questions?
No, sir.
All right, not right now, thank you.
Thank you.
question for Mark.
Councilmember Bruce.
Council, if there was a lawsuit to remove them from that LID, do you have any reference to it, or would it have, I know that we said that it wouldn't have, taken them back out of the city or changed any of the zoning, but can you speak to that? Do you know anything about the lawsuit that happened to remove them from the LID?
The lawsuit predates our office, but I'm Jared, Mark Bybee, city attorney. Jared, I know, has been administering a settlement agreement for some time, and I thought it was associated with the LID. Jared, if I'm bringing up something that's irrelevant, correct me, but we weren't counsel for the city when that happened. I just know the LID was a fairly contentious thing that happened in the city's past, but we were not part of that, and so I've always kind of been a little bit uncertain as to everything that shook out there.
Thank you. That didn't answer anything for me, but.
So, yeah, so the LID was, there was a lawsuit between the bank and the landowners, and the city was able to get the judge to put a pause on that and get everybody to put a pause on that, so that we could bring it into negotiations, and then that's when the city came in and the LID was dissolved, and the sale of the EDUs became the property value that the banks would own, and so I'm not sure exactly how getting out of the LID was of any help. I don't think you can get out of the LID until there was some resolution to that, so I'm not sure exactly what that was about. I don't recall.
Any further? Councilman Biggs? All right, I move we close evidence presentation and move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember McPherson.
Okay, due to this, case number 2601, I will be recusing myself from voting on this. I've heard lots of testimony both ways tonight, and been a part of this one previously through council for the last, well, since 2016 when it's been brought forward multiple other times, but due to recent events and thing at light, I will be out on this one.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's your thought?
What's your sentiments?
I mean, I share the concerns with the traffic. I do understand what they're saying about, not bringing it back before people who have seen it. This was originally approved in 2008.
Yeah.
So not having all the input of the community, it's going to affect a lot of areas around there. I still have issues with the LID part of, removing it, not removing it. The project wasn't started. Should we make them start over? But I do think, will they come back with higher density? That's something we have to think about as well,
Yeah.
that we'll have to deal with. But I would like to have more community input on it. And anything on the south side of the tracks, I mean, I still share concerns about the school district in general. I mean, we have 6,000 to 7,000 homes that are already approved that are just still being built that now we're seeing come up. I don't know. I'll listen to what you guys have to say.
Look, there's a lot of positives about this, right? Like they're exceeding the open space requirement. You got the school site. You got the parks, you got large parks, you've got 98 lots with 3.6 acres. I mean, there's just, the commercial is 6 acres if I remember correctly, so there's a lot there. My inclination is to actually move to default and run that risk of them coming back with more high density.
Councilman Biggs?
This is kind of a tough one. this is very atypical of other land use that we get where, you know, it goes through planning and zoning. Well, it did, I guess, way before our time. And I'd kind of like to see that process go back through. However, it's one of those things where it's like, well, if we approve it, and if we're not really stopping anything if we don't approve it, I guess that's my point. We're not really stopping anything. It's something's gonna come there.
Yeah, it's gonna be
And
developed.
it could be more dense, which is definitely, you know, I always have density concerns in anything in CUNA of late. Paying mine to the R6 or greater. We haven't seen a whole lot of R2, R4 subdivisions lately. And so it's just kind of a conundrum. I do have great safety concerns about the design of having parks. We may put, you know, fences, barbed wire fences maybe. Kids are pretty resourceful. They really want to get over there. Just having a freight train going that close to those areas makes me a little nervous. So, but yeah, it is quite the conundrum because of something that happened so long ago. And as we all know, CUNA was quite a bit different in 2006, 2007, 2008. So it's really tough because if this doesn't get approved, what are we creating? So.
Well, I think I always have a concern with anything south of the tracks. We do have a fire station that's being built now, and that was actually donated by the same developer that actually went in and did all the infrastructure to get sewer and water to that station ahead of time when he would have had to. So kudos to him on that. That there's just always that concern though of anything expanding out south of the tracks until we get an overpass or something like that over there. Traffic stacks up, no matter what it is, then, you know, right now there's no policing over there, so.
Mr. Mayor, I know you're not a developer, but you've been around a while, and to have a little bit of empathy, what do you think a developer up to this stage where we're at, what do you think a developer has invested in this?
Oh boy, I have no idea.
Okay,
I wouldn't even be able to come close.
okay. Because I know we're in deliberation now, but anyway.
And I think that, I mean, I would echo the fact that this is a better looking development agreement than what was originally brought forth. So, you know, it's kind of like the other one we did along the highway. The development agreement was, and the project was just better than what it was before. Something's going to happen, and what that something is I don't know. This way we would know, but I don't know if that's going to be what the public likes to see or not, so.
Mr. Mayor, if we have a split vote, what's the consequences?
Well,
We can't have
we wouldn't. He's recused himself.
I know, so now we got 4, right?
It'd be three
Three
votes.
in the case of a tie.
Okay, got it, okay.
So, Mr. Mayor, so if this does get approved, I guess the next steps, and this may be more of a Doug question, what happens as far as planning and zoning gets re-engaged? Hypothetically speaking, don't like the location of the school or, you know, in relation to the railroad tracks or something like that. Where do we go from here?
For the record, Doug Hanson, Planning and Zoning Director. So if this development agreement modification were approved this evening, we would start back at the beginning of the process for the Seasons Creek North preliminary plat. That would go through so we do the rezone and the Seasons Creek North preliminary plat. That would go through an entire public hearing process, Planning and Zoning Commission, City Council. Then I would assume as they were working towards construction for that preliminary plat, they would work towards also submitting a second preliminary plat, which would still have Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council for Seasons Creek East, and then so on and forth south as you worked through all 3 of those preliminary plats.
Okay.
So there would be 6 additional opportunities for public input as we look at the plat design, the site design, the open space, the amenities for this project.
And so I guess that's
That-
the question before us would be, is, again,
I'm sorry, I didn't, did you ask, what was your initial question? If we approved this or if we
if
denied
we
it?
approved it, and then if we denied it, it just goes back to, well, I think Councilman Rocco just mentioned about the initiating the city to default the project?
Move to.
I'm sorry,
You would-
the development agreement?
Yeah, you would move to
That would be
default.
another public hearing though,
Right.
for the city to take action.
But again, that also opens up the possibility of totally different density of application, development agreement.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion then, unless we're,
Do you have anything else?
Anybody else have any comment?
I'd like to support the staff approve this. Got it.
Just if that's the one, then,
Yeah, I got it.
okay.
I'm motioning to deny case number 26-01-DA and move to default of agreement.
Hang on, what was your motion to move to default the agreement?
Move to default.
So sorry, Mark Bybee, City Attorney, I would request reconsidering the motion. Today, what's before you is an application to modify the DA.
So just,
And so it's either approving or denying the application. If the city is interested in going about terminating the DA, that would require a public hearing on that proposal. So that you'd need to, I don't think defaulting today is the remedy. So if it's either approve or deny this application as presented.
Okay, then I motion to deny case number 26-01-DA.
rescinding your original motion?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Do you want to speak to that motion?
No.
No? Okay. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 2-1. All right, next we have,
Mayor, if I might,
yes,
I know from this vote and based on the way the motion was originally made, should staff be under the understanding that they should be proceeding with bringing a termination proposal to the council on this DA? Is that where we're at? I don't know. Is that something you want to speak about between you and staff later? It's just putting it out there.
if you want to speak about that now, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some clarity, cause
get
what's,
some
kind of
direction
what's
moving
next.
forward.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something, Mayor, that you just want to speak with staff later yourself, or how you want to go about that, but I'm just putting the concept out there because it seems to be at least on the council's mind.
Okay, so are you suggesting then that planning and zoning director speak to that now, or what is it you're asking?
I'm asking if it's something that, like, are you wanting staff to start that process, or are you not ready to make a determination on that, or have any opinion on that?
I think it was, as far as now, it was only one councilman, so it'd probably be a discussion for later.
That's kind of what I think was,
Okay.
we ought to look into that a little bit before we get deep into it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, that takes us to consideration to approve case number 2504AN. And this is an annexation for Ben and Terry Decker, Troy. And I didn't have anybody sign up for this one. Is there anybody who wishes to testify in this matter that didn't get a chance? Troy, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Troy Buchanan, Senior Planner, CUNA Development Service Department. The application before you this evening for the Decker annexation is a request to annex approximately 4.87 acres into the city of CUNA. They have requested the R2 zone. This is a nearly 5-acre parcel that is south of the Indian Creek corridor on Strobel Road on the east side, and simple request. It touches the city limits, so it's eligible. And Mr. Ben Decker is here tonight to answer any questions you have, and staff will rest with that. It's very simple.
Can't be that simple.
We like complicated here,
It's
Troy.
that simple. I'm sorry if it disappoints some of you. It's that simple.
All right, any questions for Troy?
Have none.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Ben, if you would like to just state your name and address for the record.
Ben Decker, 490 Strobel Road in Idaho. Mr. Mayor, thank you, and council members. I'd just like to say that we moved out here 22 years ago. We bought the old farmhouse that originally sat there, and we lived in the house for 22 years. And it's always been our dream to build a new house, and so that's why we're here today.
Needs a new front door.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So one question that might come up, this is on the corner of Rock Falls Lane and Strobel, and so any access to the new house would be off of Rock Falls Lane. So, and I'm here for any questions.
Okay, any questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay, you
Thank
get
you.
off easy too.
Yeah.
All right, Sid. Yeah.
Sid Anderson, 2500 East Rock Falls Lane, CUNA, Idaho. Mayor, council members. I currently reside on that lane that Ben Decker refers to. I just wanted to just give my support as the only neighbor there and the only other person that uses that road. Well, my father does use it as well. He has another dwelling there. He supports this action as well. In reference to the previous application, I just want to say this is actually a modernization of a former plan. This land was originally platted in 1909 and replatted in 1912. So more than not just 2 decades, but nearly 12 decades ago. And we're just doing a little revamping of that plan. And I stand for any questions.
None of the council's here.
I know. I'll stand
Not
for any
even I'm
questions.
that old. All right, any questions for
thanks,
Mr.
Sid.
Anderson?
I thought you were gonna get up here and say you had an issue with him using that road.
I kind of wanted to start that way, but I didn't want to waste your time.
Thank you.
All right, and that's all I had signed up to testify. Was there anybody else who wished to? All right. Well, I don't know if you want to rebuttal or not, but I believe the question is rightfully before council.
I move we close evidence presentation, move to deliberation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I move we approve case number 25-04-AN.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. You're right, Troy, that was simple. All right, that takes us to business items. So we're talking about budget here. We'll start with Public Works presentation from Adam Winger. No, you're fine sitting there, it's good.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I think this is the first of these presentations that the city has done, at least in my knowledge. So staff will be following a format of consistency, which will run you briefly through our department functions, the staffing levels that we have and requested, and a brief rundown of the capital projects and expenses for each of our respective departments. And as you could anticipate, or as you've seen in the packet, Public Works dwarfs all the other departments in the scale of our expenditures. And while I'm certainly happy to provide details for all of our requests, out of respect for the time of council and staff, I've decided to only ramble away into the midnight hours about the highlights of the larger ticket items, say those above $500,000. So, Public Works. The functions of Public Works include engineering, evaluating and approving all infrastructures, irrigation, maintain pressurized and gravity sources, geographical information systems, maintain the citywide maps of infrastructure, plan review, evaluate development plans, streetlights, interface with the contributing parties from the plans forward, utility locates, find the stuff underground, and then water and wastewater, obviously pretty self-explanatory on those. Staffing for Public Works. We currently have 6 in administration with a request for 1 more, that would be an engineer. We currently have 9 in our water department with a request for 1 more operator. And in wastewater, we have 11 with a request of 1 more operator. Straight into capital projects on the water fund. First project to talk about is the East Deer Flat, North Massey to North Deerhorn. This is about 600 feet of 8-inch water main along a main mile transmission. This conforms to the system master plan throughout the city. The second will be meters. Not a very imaginative name on that. But this one is primarily to add new radio antennas to the network to eliminate or reduce the 1,000 manual reads that we're having to do every month when it comes to billing, and to upgrade the software that we use for monitoring, reporting, and billing. Additionally, we are now faced with replacing the 5/8 inch meters that are throughout town that were purchased about 20 years ago, I would imagine. This is now a size meter that is no longer supported. Radios are dying, causing more issues. So the intent here is to eventually replace all of these old meters with more standardized meters that have better capacity, better capabilities. There's estimated to be about 5,000 of those in town, so we're hoping to replace maybe 250 to 500 per year. Next one is well number 13 drilling. We need a water supply on the eastern portion of our city limits. This one is also part of the developer's agreement with Falcon Crest Development. We're already working with the developer there to secure a location and with an engineering firm to get us a preliminary feasibility study for that location. Within wastewater, the first one is our Lagoon 2 relining. This lagoon was originally built in 1983. It holds 15.3 million gallons, and it's approaching the end of its useful life. Lagoon 3 was put in at the same time, and that failed and was replaced in 2023. The city's intent here is to proactively schedule these replacements, staged across multiple years, to effectively do so before they fail their seepage tests and we invoke the ire of DEQ. The second item is turbo blowers. This is a replacement of positive displacement blowers, the original installation at the plant, the wastewater treatment plant. These are more efficient, have lower maintenance costs and lower operational costs. And last time many of these were replaced, we got rebates from Idaho Power that offset the majority. So these funds are just to cover what isn't covered through those rebates. The big ticket item is Mason Creek Phase 1. This trunk line segment goes from the wastewater treatment plant to approximately Swan Falls High School, about 5,000 feet of 36-inch gravity sewer. should have put the next piece in order. We'll get to it later. Second piece, or next item. Just next item. Second, waste sludge belt press. This duplicates our existing belt press, although this is likely to pivot to a different drying technology, which will reduce our reliance on solid waste hauling fees and give us a little more forward-looking classification for our waste, to make sure that we are able to dispose of it if and when DEQ regulations become more stringent. The Swan Falls Barn Rehab Rebuild. The evaluation by city and external contractors suggests the existing barn structure has degraded sufficiently that a raise and rebuilds would be more cost effective. This barn was original before the city purchased the farm and put the lagoons in 81, so it's had its time. Next piece is the Mason Creek Trunk Line Lift Station. This lift station is the facility that accepts the flows from the entirety of the Mason Creek trunk line. Next item is membranes. These are the operational components of the membrane batch reactors that power our wastewater treatment plant. There are 14 modules per rack, and there are 16 racks per cell, and there are 4 cells. These membranes are what allow us to stay within compliance. Many of them have aged out and have been damaged due to overuse and other reasons, so we have to replace multiple per year, and this money is to fund that. Next, we have the wastewater treatment plant fine screen. Currently, our process is limited to either influent or recirculation, not both. This results in degraded treatment to the aeration basins and more strain on the membranes. That takes us through wastewater. Irrigation, not much there. A couple little parcels here and there to pick off gravity irrigation to prevent flooding and have better service. And then funds that hit, or projects, excuse me, that hit multiple funds. The main is the ACHD Linder Road project. This will go from Main Street up to Deer Flat, almost 5,000 feet of water and irrigation pipe that's either being replaced or added where it currently does not exist. With that, yell at me all you want.
Hey, Adams, I was just gonna ask, has any of this been bid out yet, or is this just estimates?
Almost all of it has in some capacity been bid out. Yes, Councilman Rocco.
Mr. Mayor, if I can.
Yes, question.
Just to clarify, well 13 that you need to drill would be in the Falcon Crest development, did I hear that right?
That is correct.
Okay, and then, it wasn't one of your big ticket items, but I know last fall, this spring early, there was a lot of, contention with the blowers at the lagoons. That 150,000 would rectify that, we hope. That's on there, it's like the 5th item down or something.
Correct. That is either to rehab entirely and swap from PD to turbo blower, or figure out a better system. So do the engineering and then replace.
Right, because those were like way outdated there too, or something, weren't they?
They are original, correct.
Perfect, thank you.
We'll turn them to blow the other way towards your house.
Yeah, blow them towards me, you bet.
Adam, if you had to put a number, a percentage on growth versus maintenance of existing, like we had a lot of numbers here,
Yeah.
what would you say is the percentage growth versus the percentage maintenance?
85% growth.
Got it.
Councilman Rocco.
Got it.
2 of the main projects, most of the ACHD ones, are replacement of old water lines, old irrigation lines. The irrigation requests are to replace gravity, so those could be lumped into a maintenance. And then I suppose replacement or upgrading of blowers could be a maintenance item. We're spending money to maintain them, whereas this is a more efficient solution in the end. That kind of could sit the fence on that, but I'd still say 85%.
Let me understand, this is we're preparing for the 27 budget, right?
Correct.
So what you're looking for is you're proposing to have add on 2 operators and engineer.
Correct.
Not necessarily that you're gonna get it, but you're looking to hire those, or,
The request would be that if the opportunity comes, that there is availability to fill those positions in the applicant pool, and we determine internally that we need them, that we would be able to do so without having to come back and ask for different funds.
Got it. And what would you expect for, what would they solve? What would they solve if you brought on an engineer?
Sure. Engineering, excuse me, primarily would allow us to take on a subset of the projects we currently contract out. So that could be simply the QLPE reviews, the last final review for plan sets. That could be designing of some of our lower level lift stations or infrastructure with ACHD approval and interagency agreements. Depending on what brand and experienced engineer we could land, could dictate what they would be used for. And the water operator and the wastewater operator are simply to supplement the jobs that we're currently doing.
If you don't fill those 3 positions, what would the public notice, if anything, if they're not filled?
I'd like to say we could maintain our high level of performance as is. Realistically, as we add 1,000 rooftops a year, our services would be stretched. Our response times to a leak or to an event could be less. Our staff could be overworked when they're working 10 hours over the weekend instead of 6, which could lead to burnout and then people resigning their positions and putting us in a worse position, which would then become more apparent to the public at large.
Yeah, sounds pretty critical. Thank you.
And then I think the other aspect to hiring an engineer is that we have someone in-house to watch what's happening, even if they're not the one on the project, to get that background and knowledge so that when something does come up, we have somebody on staff that can help to work through that and help us to make better decisions.
One last thing to contract.
Do we know how much we contracted out last year versus what the salary of an engineer would be?
Oh, I don't
Ballpark,
remember
I
where
mean,
we're at with Keller.
Yeah,
3 to
that-
1, like
Easily.
5 to 1?
Yeah,
Easily 3 to 1.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm like.
That's what I was thinking as well, yeah.
Granted, the contract we have out is not singular engineer at one firm. It
Right.
brings us the experience of their entire firm. So
Sure.
it's more money, but it's more than we just get with one brain sitting in my building.
Right. Okay, yeah. go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you, first off. This department's come a long way since I first got in this seat, so. I know we had talked about fire hydrants and manhole covers when you originally came on. Have you gone through all those yet?
Yes. I know I brought it up in prior presentation. I believe every fire hydrant was either inspected or operated over the last year.
Okay.
We will begin our flushing program here in the next couple weeks now that the irrigation season's kind of taken off. And then for manholes, we are building the geographical platform to help us effectively and methodically go through the system, evaluate, and the repair as needed.
That's awesome, thank you.
And there is still a budget item, not within CIP, but within O&M budget for rehabilitation of those manholes.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further for?
No, thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you, Council, Mayor.
All right. Parks, Chris Wrigley.
Oh, you can get it.
Evening, Mayor, City Council members, Chris Wrigley, Parks and Rec Director. Kind of going through the same motions that Adam just showed you. We're kind of structured the exact same way. So we'll start here with Parks and Recreation functions. Our department is broke down into these different kind of categories. Parks ground maintenance is just like it sounds. They're the ones that are out there maintaining, mowing, spraying weeds, dealing with the sprinkler breaks, the overall look and health of our parks. Parks construction, they focus more on heavy equipment aspects of our department, more like site prep work for a new park, anything that's they work hand in hand with Parks Ground Maintenance as well, so if there's usually any sort of larger repair that needs to be made, they work with them on that. Recreation, putting on community events and coordinating sports activities. Fleet, maintenance on the vehicles and the equipment, and then also responsible for purchasing new equipment and vehicles. And then facilities, their upkeep of all city buildings and facility additions. A little tough to see, but this is our current staffing. Parks Grounds is made up, like I said, of the guys that, the maintenance workers, the guys that do the mowing. We have a sprinkler tech, we have a spray tech, and this year we have 2 seasonals. Parks Construction's a 4-man crew, and again, they do the functions that previously mentioned. Recreation, we have 2 members on the staff that handle all of the events in the city, and then coordinate with all the sports teams that utilize our fields. And then Fleet and Facilities mixed with 1 lead that oversees both. And then what we're requesting to add on this year is a custodial position, which would be cleaning facilities and taking care of parks trash and bathrooms. Currently, our on-call employees, which they all have a 1-week window, it comes out of the Parks Grounds and Construction. It's their responsibility Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the weekends to make sure that all the parks, bathrooms, trash receptacles, and everything are clean, loose trash in the parks. It takes a lot of time out of our schedules to do that, roughly about 5 hours every day. So we're hoping by bringing on somebody that'll handle that, that'll allow these other guys to do more of what their focused tasks are. And then we are requesting 2 additional parks maintenance workers. We can go to the next one. This is a total list of our capital projects that we're looking for. Majority of it is to support growth, facility upgrades, and vehicle and equipment upgrades or purchases. We can go to the next one, Nate. This is one of the larger ones that we're looking to do. This is Butler. This is one of our oldest parks in town. The facility is it's just old. It's been there a long time. We have met with the family of the family that donated the park initially, and came up with this design that they really liked. The swings on this park currently are outdated. There's roots growing underneath of them, and safety standards have just changed over the years, where we just want to get them something new over there. We can go to the next one. This is Arbor Ridge Park. This is another one that's just outdated. This one, for example, has had some features that we have completely removed because of damage and potential injuries to kids. And so we've come up with these designs, both the previous slide and this one. These are the designs we have landed on. We went through 4 different contractor companies to get the best prices, but with also the most attractive features, and make it something different in each one, so they're not all just cookie cutter parks that all look the same. This one here, that's not decided on if that's going to be yellow or not, but that is the playground that we are looking to do. This one here is the addition to the Kuna Skate Park. We went and got bids on trying to do an addition that would match the bowl that we currently have. Unfortunately, concrete bowls are extremely expensive. This is a more effective or cost-effective way of going about it. This one here comes in at 140,000, and then the additional pad, we got a bid on that. Currently, that's at 40,000 as well. So we packed a little extra in there just because everything goes up. We can go to the next one.
What is the skill level on this? 'Cause
That one.
The issue with the other bowl is too high of a skill level, right?
Yeah, so when we get concerns about that other park, we hear it from both sides in the community. We get a lot of people that say it's way too dangerous and that it's not good for youth, young novice riders. But then we hear on the other side, when anytime there's bad press on it, the other skaters come out and say, there's nothing else like it in the valley. We love it. So This new one would be more for intermediate to moderate. It's got rails, it's got just some altogether different features.
I'm not gonna see you out there, Mr. Mayor.
I'm not doing it anyway, so that makes my knee hurt looking at it.
This fitness studio you guys have seen before. This is the one that we got the $30,000 grant. We actually anticipated it was going to be closer to 400,000, or no, 385 is what we're asking for, because minus 400 taken off the 30, we're leaving a little extra room on that one. This one will go just to the west of the skate park that you just saw. Okay. Then this is the bathroom that we'd like to put between that fitness center and the skate park. This one here is, they build these here in Nampa, CXT. They're pre-molded bathrooms. They come pre-plumbed, pre-wired. Basically, you build a foundation, get the utilities there, set the building on it, and it's plug and play. So this, we looked at several different options. We felt location where it's at, and keeping it just a men's and women's restroom. There is a janitorial room in the back that you can access from the backside, and not having one that you can go in and lock the door and then lock yourself in there. This one here, the door stays open, and there's actually stalls and urinals, just like our bathrooms that we currently have. So those are some of the bigger projects we are looking to do, and on the more expensive end, and I'll stand for any questions.
Okay, questions for Chris?
So it's, yeah, I do, Mr. Mayor. It's funny to hear that the swings at Butler Park are dangerous, because that's what we grew up on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the metal slides in the original park.
Yeah, tear off some of your skin on the way down.
And don't grab the sides, because they were wood. You
Yeah.
get a splinter.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
So you were here in 1910?
Yeah, I feel like it some days.
Chris, I have some questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the fitness studio, what's the long-term vision for the fitness studio?
Well, as far as what we're hoping to see it do, or I mean, as far as what do you mean?
Yeah, what do you plan on doing beyond with the fitness studio? Did you have a fitness studio? Are you looking to expand on that?
Not at this time. This is going to be, to my knowledge, I think this will be the second one ever put in the state of Idaho. Marcinga has one with their school district. We do see, we believe that it's going to get a lot of use. Like I think I mentioned to you guys before, we have groups that already utilize our parks for yoga and different things anyway. Giving them a place of their own, I think that would be great. Having it close to the skate park, I think is a good thing. Having the bathroom right there. I feel like once we get that part of town, that area, as a outdoor enthusiast spot, I think it'll draw a lot of attraction.
Got it. Which parks are concerning the staff over the next 5 years?
Mostly the ones that are oncoming. So the Valor,
Mostly what?
the ones that are upcoming. So like
Okay.
the Valor is a 10-acre park, and it's a drive over there. Currently, our guys, they do a really good job with what the parks we have, but as you start having to drive around town and hit every one of these parks, especially one that size, that's one that comes to mind.
Got it. You and I have had conversations about this. How are you planning on addressing the future baseball, softball field shortages?
We have a meeting with the developer tomorrow who has some ideas for a park, and it is our belief, it is our strategy to moving forward with some of these parks that come to us, is to start implementing more of what we need and not just what they propose. This one tomorrow that we're going to meet about is proposing soccer fields. We're pretty good on soccer fields and open space at the moment. We are short on baseball fields, so we're going to attempt to try to get something like that put in place.
Yeah, one last question. How about the cameras? Where are we seeing deficiency in cameras with the parks and even City Hall or whatever?
We have an issue. We have a shortage of cameras at most of our outlying parks at the moment, and a lot of that is because of the cost. You have to have the internet there, and the systems themselves are just expensive. We in our budget we have that security in our actual budget too. And so we'll be working with that next year as well.
Got it. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, anything further? Yes.
I think
Councilmember Bruce.
Chris, I think if you see, or if developments come up and you'd like to see more of a baseball style, facility or go that direction, maybe you could let us know during the meeting and say, hey, this is what I see with this, so that we don't make a decision, for a development that goes against what you would need, so
Sure.
maybe just give us a heads up during the public hearing.
Be happy to do that.
All right, very good. Doug Hanson.
All right, so for the record, Doug Hanson, Planning and Zoning Director. So I will take you into the Development Services Department functions. Development Services is broken down into Planning and Zoning, the Building Department, and the Economic Development Department. So functions of Planning and Zoning include long-range planning, which are things like our comprehensive plan, specific area plans and transportation, current planning with things like land use applications, amendments to our zoning ordinance, and policy documents. Building is responsible for plan review, permitting, and inspections. And economic development facilitates the implementation of strategies to support economic growth, business attraction and retention, and local business support. So you can see our current staff on the left side of the screen. The only staffing request we have for fiscal year 27 is for a building inspector if that position is not filled in fiscal year 26. So that position was approved as a part of the fiscal year 26 budget. This would just be carryover in the event we could not have someone hired by October 1st.
Doug, can I interrupt you a second? Have you had candidates at this point that you've been interviewing?
We have received one applicant.
That's it. And how long has it been posted?
It's been Nancy, it's been posted for about 3 weeks now.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And then as far as capital projects go, we are working on our update to the comprehensive plan. $200,000 was approved as part of the fiscal year 26 budget, but as of last meeting, when the professional services agreement was approved, it is anticipated that the adoption of this new plan will take place between May and August of 2027. So this will carry us over into fiscal year 27. So it's once again similar to the building inspector position. This will just be carryover into this next fiscal year.
Just a reappropriation.
Correct.
All right, questions for Doug?
Pretty simple, thank you.
Thank you.
Doug, Adam,
Yes.
this may be a redundant question for you, but you know what I would like to have council have, if it's not already accessible to us, is to be able to provide staff with an inventory of approved but undeveloped commercial land. I don't think I've asked you that before, have I? Or is it easily accessible on this? I mean, okay, that's the.
So we have actually, Councilman Rocco, we have discussed that in the past, and that is actually being actively worked on by Marina Lundy, the associate planner.
I'm sorry, is this what I already asked you that question?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guy. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, Nathan Stanley.
Mayor, Council, Nathan Stanley, City Clerk. Under the Clerk's Department, we also have the Arts and History Center. These are just some of the functions of our office, along with notary services, along with all the ordinances, resolutions, minutes, and agendas. We also work with the county during elections, making sure candidates are eligible for candidacy and processing all their paperwork. And then we work with KPD and code enforcement for the administrative citation program as well. And then these are our current staff. Currently, Leah's in her summer hours, so she's only in office on Tuesdays and then at the center Wednesday through Saturday. We don't have any new staffing requests for fiscal 27. Just gonna maintain our current levels. Our staff work really well together, so we don't have any issues there or any needs for any further staffing. And then my office works more as project support, project management, and grant writing to acquire further funds for projects, and along with the STEP grant for KPD and the motor team to help subsidize their salary and get equipment and stuff like that. So I'll sit for any questions.
Nathan, maybe I went brain dead there for a second. Did you say that the clerk is also handling passport? You didn't say passports, did you?
I did not say
Okay, got it. Okay,
passports.
thank you. Well, I do have a question. Because you know why I bring that up is because I was talking to the director of the library board, and they make $100,000 a year in revenue just on doing passports. But anyway,
I'm sure they have a lot of gray hair too.
Or none.
Nathan, what about what happens to the unused matching funds at year end if it's not used?
For the grants?
Yeah.
That just rolls over.
Rolls over to the next year's budget?
Yeah, if it's not utilized, I mean, Jared, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's there in case it is needed for certain grants, for certain projects.
Yeah, so Jared, NPC Treasurer. So any unused funds would remain in the general fund.
Got it. Have we had instances where it did roll over?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
I would just like to
Councilmember
say thank you to the clerk. Everything they do, I hear good things about him, and since he's taken over the office, always friendly environment. Even folks that have issues always call down here, and with every director that's taken over since I got elected, it's been good. So.
Well, you heard what Elizabeth said. She says that phone calls are returned.
Yeah.
It's easily the best staff that they work with, so absolutely.
Yeah, and it's been, all the directors are doing really well and appreciate that. Nathan's been keeping daily tabs on the construction of the Chambers building over here, and that's been extremely helpful. It's helped open up the line of communication between the builder and anybody he needs to get hold of, so, and vice versa. So there's just a lot that he does that we don't really think of as a clerk's office, so.
Is this second year now or third? Third year, second year?
Third?
I don't even know what day it is, so.
Yeah, third.
It's at least 2 now, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, just over 2.
Okay.
Ms. Mayor, I do have a question, a deviate from
Yes,
this
go
for a
ahead.
second. I noticed on some of the larger cities, they have what they call a chief of staff. At what point do you look for a chief of staff? And is that clerk?
So I think right now, because of the job that all of the directors do, it's not really necessary for me to have a chief of staff. I have Sulema, who works in my office, who helps me to coordinate and keep me where I ought to be. So that's kind of that function right now, and I don't think I need anything deeper than that. The staff that I have working, all of the directors are so good and so spot on.
Yeah.
That I really don't need that extra help.
I guess it's just size than Nampa, Meridian, Boise, it's just a
Yeah.
sheer size.
They
Okay,
just don't have Sulema. That's their
They
problem.
don't have
What's that?
Sulema.
They don't have Sulema, that's their problem.
Don't you be talking like those cities. Relax.
And in case anybody's thinking about it, you may not have Sulema, she's mine. Every time I actually got somebody to come into my office to help me, somebody else took them for some other thing. And so this time when Sulema came on board, I was like, nope, she's staying right here. Okay, Nancy Stauffer, which is not too far from, would you say 1 foot in the grave? Is that what
Well,
you were
that's
saying?
what Mark said. Gee whiz. 1 foot in the grave. That was extremely tacky.
1 foot out. the
1
door.
foot out the door.
There you go.
I have one more meeting after tonight, so apology accepted if you'll throw one out there. Nancy Stauffer, Human Resources Director. So we do not necessarily spend money. We don't have projects, anything like that. We are 100% support staff for the directors and the employees. So what we do spend money on would be our memberships and certifications to keep us up to date with laws, regulations, any changes. So PASHRA is the Public Sector HR Association. We used to belong to the Society for Human Resource Management. They have shifted drastically in the last couple of years and have become politically very one-sided. We need to always be open to everything in the HR industry. So we've switched over to Peshra, and I think we'll get better information that way. So the conferences through Cassell, which is where our timekeeping and payroll software is through. Trainings, certification, the HRCI is the Human Resources Certification Institute. It goes hand in hand with Peshra. We're responsible for all employee engagement. Our goal is to retain and never replace because, one, it's very expensive. Two, it's not who we are. We love the employees that we have, and we want to hang on to them. So the holiday party, Employee Appreciation Day, and Mental Health Awareness Month in May, where we campaign pretty hard to make sure that our employees know that we have resources for them. Clothing, pretty standard. We do want to add to everyone's budget. I think pants, we wanted to add that in this year. We've always just done shirts and jackets and hats and boots. We're not talking Levi's and Wranglers, we're talking Carhartts that are going to last. If an employee doesn't want to wear that, then they pay for their own pants. We just want to make sure that we're helping them out. Clothing it's expensive to replace. When any of our other directors talk about staffing, HR is always included in that conversation. So we evaluate all of their timekeeping records. So we'll tell the director, this is how much you had in overtime, this is how much you had in comp time. We regulate that, we track it very closely so that when someone says, say Chris comes to me and says, I need another grounds guy, and I'm like, but these guys are working, every single person is working 2 hours of overtime a week. Yeah, you've got your 8 hours a day, let's get that person on board. I'll work with Jared to, check with budgeting on that, make sure that we can. If a director comes in and says they want somebody and I look at it and go, I can't support that. I'm not going to go to Jared and go, yeah, give it to him anyway. We have to be fiscally responsible. We are responsible for coming to you guys when we want to change wages, when we want to do anything like that for certain positions to let you guys know. I always get with Jared, the mayor, everybody's included in those conversations. So.
What about the asterisk for floating holiday?
What about asking for it?
Well, what is that? Did you just talk about it, or is that?
No.
So what is that?
No, I didn't talk about it.
I know.
We want to add a floating holiday so that we have employees that don't celebrate Christmas. They celebrate a different holiday. We have employees that would like to take their birthday off. A lot of times no one comes to work on Christmas Eve because they all take a vacation day. So instead of closing down entirely when we may have some citizens that want to come in, then we'll have that extra holiday. And cost-wise, when pretty much the city's not working, we're paying people to be here, but nobody's coming in. Nobody's doing anything.
So is that a wish list of yours, or is that going to be rolled up into the proposal for the 27 budget?
That'll be rolled into the
Got it,
proposal.
okay.
All right, anything further for Nancy?
No, thank you. You almost got out of here without doing one of these, huh? Yeah.
I'm like, how do I put a budget together for, I don't spend money.
Yeah.
I ask these guys to spend money.
Yeah. All right, Chief Hessing.
All right, Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you for this opportunity. Chad Hessing, CUNA Chief of Police. Actually, Nathan, can you go to the other one first? Yeah. So the way I've kind of rolled this out is that I'm going to talk a little bit about the staffing that we currently have, and then some of the accomplishments that we've done with that, and then go into the next fiscal year and staffing asks. So currently we have 30 assigned positions to the city contract. We've got myself, Lisa, our admin assistant, 14 patrol deputies, 2 motors, 6 detectives, 1 code enforcement, and 5 sergeants. And then as far as on this sheet, I wanted to point out, first of all, it's down at the bottom, Nathan, crimes by type and severity, which really I'm focused on the population of CUNA, just at the bottom there, right there. So you can see it there, it shows the population of CUNA in 2025 as 33,750. And again, we've had 30 staff members. There is actually a new Compass report that shows that we grew actually by 14%. So our current population, at least at the beginning of this year, was estimated to be at 38,560. So that's quite the growth as far as citizens within the city of CUNA. The other thing I wanted to highlight is the crimes per resident, which is right there. And the reason why I want to highlight these is because I want to show that we're moving in the right direction. So the crimes per resident, you could see the bar graph there, and then the line that kind of shows that going down. So in 2025, our crimes per resident was 19.8, which is really good that that's going down. One of the beliefs that I have is one of the best ways to look at your law enforcement to see if they're effective is by the crimes that are not committed, which that's hard to quantify. But I think that kind of illustrates it a little bit, that the crimes per 1,000 residents is going down. The next thing is the percent of crimes cleared, which for this is crimes cleared is kind of a fancy way of saying crimes solved for DRs, reports that we take. So in 2025, you can see also the trend is that we're getting a higher clearance rate, which is really good. 2025, CUNA PD had a clearance rate of 67.8%. The Idaho average is 53.3. Just a little bit more on that, which again, we're well above the Idaho average, but I just wanted to throw out there the national average as well, according to FBI.gov. The national average, and they break it up into violent and property crimes. The national average is 45.5 for violent crimes and 17.2 for property crimes. So you can see that KPD is doing pretty good on the clearance rates, and again, that's something that we want to continue. The last thing I'll point out on this is, and it's actually on this next page, is the cost per resident. So down a little bit lower. Right there, yeah. So you can see that CUNA is in the middle there, and that's actually using the 33,750 population number. But the cost per resident is $127.68, which if you look at all the other cities that are on that list, we're the lowest on that list. So with that, I'll jump into our proposed 2027 budget, which is the first page. Sorry, I didn't tell you which order I wanted them in. Okay, so this is our proposed budget. I broke this out in a little bit different way. First, we've got in that first top left block, we've got the budget change for 2027 with an assumed 3% COLA. We don't know if that's going to change a little bit or not, but that's what we kind of guesstimated that it would be 3%. And then after that, to the right of that, I've got 4 different staffing options, again, so that we can continue down the right path that we're on. So for fiscal year 2027, just going off of base, which it's kind of hard to see, but that's the line right underneath the blue police city of CUNA, which in the movies I could just tell it to enhance, but it probably won't work here. So, but each of those line items, the personnel budget is there, the special event overtime, equipment, uniforms, operational costs, vehicles, support, property and evidence, and victim service units. Those are both zero because that's one of the benefits of contracting with the sheriff's office. And then you've got the extra operational items requested, which is basically a miscellaneous unexpected fund. So the changes from 2026 to 2027 on the base without adding staffing is a total of $310,780. So before I move on, any questions on that so far? Okay. So the options I have is options 1 through 4, and really, you know, taken in light the path that we're on and the fast-paced growth of the city of Kuna, I want to focus on option 3 because option 3 is really where we need to be in order to keep going down the right direction and the path that we're on. So option 3, it includes a ICAC detective, which they would focus on basically crimes against children, so ICAC/CSAM type stuff. And then it includes 2 patrol deputies, 1 detective sergeant, 1 code enforcement, and if we go with option 3, then our contract total amount would go up to $6,253,657, which is a $1,181,293 increase. You also, you know, if you wanted to go even above that, would be option number 4, which option number 4 is basically the same as option number 3, except for it includes, rather than just 2 patrol deputies, it is 4 patrol deputies, which if we were able to go to the 4 patrol deputies, right now we currently, and I think I read those to you in the beginning, we currently have 14. If we added 4 more, then that would give us 18 patrol deputies, which would allow us to run 3 teams of 3 for each day, for every day of the week. So right now, we have, for the patrol deputies, we have different start times. If we had another 4 every day, we could have 3 teams of 3. So a morning shift, a swing shift, and then a grave shift, and we can do that for both sides of the week. And if we did option number 4, above base or above the 2026 contract, that would increase us $1,548,610. So, and with that, any questions for me?
I guess I'm not seeing the relation between, what is a personnel cost positions? I mean, is that built into, when you're talking about option 4 being a $1,000,005 increase, what is the relationship with the personnel cost?
So if you look at the bottom, that bottom line, it says net change for contract for FY27.
Yeah,
You see that?
Yeah.
And then, so the base. So basically, if we didn't grow or add staffing at all, that was $310,780. The next one would be that base plus an ICAC and 2 patrol.
No, I get that,
Okay.
Chief. What I'm talking about is the second category called personnel cost positions. I see all the numbers that you're talking about on the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what is the relationship between that and the actual cost of, you know, option 4, say?
So that's on there as well. This is just breaking down exactly what the cost per position is. So like the top one where it says Chief 2, that would be my cost. The next one would be sergeant, and then if you see, like right now, if you go from sergeant to base, so that's how we are right now, and we have 4 positions. And then if you went with option number 1, then that would add that on there. And then it has what each one of those positions costs with benefits. And then if you go further over to the right, you'll see where it says option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4.
No, I get that.
Does that make it?
Yeah, so in other words, all of that's rolled up into option 4 being $6,600,000.
Yeah.
Okay, got it,
Okay.
Yes.
I have a question.
Councilmember Bruce?
Thank you, Chief. If we did go with one of the later options, where would that bring you in line with, how long would that hold you over? I know we had talked with the chief prior to adding 1 or 2 positions. At the rate the city's growing, and we did add, let's say, the ICAC 4 patrol, detective sergeant, and code enforcement, how long would that be okay? how many years do you think that would be, before you had to come back and said, hey, we need to add?
So it all depends on how quickly the community grows. That's one of the factors that goes into it. So if at a 14%, if that one, by going with option number 4, that would obviously put us in the best position to, have a lesser ask for next year. But it kind of depends on what the continued growth is,
Right.
if that answers your question.
Target has kind of been 1 officer per 1,000.
Right, that's right.
And since we're 38,000, if you include the clerk, then that gets us to 37 if you do option 4.
Yeah, so right now, thinking of that 1 per 1,000 ratio, we're at 0.78 is where we're at right now. So if we went with option 4, that would put us at a staff count of 37, which would be pretty close to that 1 per 1,000 as we stand now, though. So by the end of next year.
I think that would be closer than we have been in any year since I've been here.
Yeah.
And with option 4, it only puts us behind Eagle, and it's still only $175 a household. That's, for what we're adding, that's still good.
So in discussions with Chief Fertusco several months ago, code enforcement was overworked and getting burned out. And I don't know, are we looking at the same situation now that we have a different code enforcement officer?
Yeah, so kind of some information to support that is, so in the difference between 2024 and 2025, so in 2024, we had 589 calls for service for code enforcement.
Right.
And in 2025, we had 775. So just in that 1 year time frame, we went up almost 150. I mean, a little over 150 calls per service for that year. So it is one of those things that's growing, which this doesn't have 2026, but 2026 is probably going to be higher. And if we keep going down that direction that we're going, then
Certainly.
he will quickly be overwhelmed.
Certainly. The thing is,
Yeah.
we just got a new, more enthused guy, and so it's kind of like he didn't have.
Yes, so he is keeping his head above water, and he's doing a great job. I'm just kind of planning for the future that that could be one of those things that.
Okay, I just kind of wanted to make sure, because it almost sounded like there was a shift there, so.
Yeah.
Good.
One question.
Yeah, Councilmember Bates.
Actually, it's a 2-part question. The first one is, why no K-9 for a city this size? And secondly, are you looking basically, I know we aren't gonna vote, but are you kind of looking for a direction that you want the council to sway towards the option for when you do formally submit the budget to Jared?
I was just throwing out some options there. Option number 3 is basically would be the minimum one I'm comfortable with. Option number 4 would be the best out of the 4 options. But I wanted to make sure that there was options in front of you. That way, because the worst case scenario would be that we don't get any extra staff. So I wanted to be able to provide different options for you. And as far as the K-9 question, we don't have, the contract cities, or at least CUNA doesn't have a K-9 deputy. We do have South County, that unincorporated South County that helps us out with K-9s when needed. So we haven't really looked so much as getting one just dedicated for the city.
I've got a Chihuahua if you need it.
Yeah, maybe so. We'll look into that.
His name is Frankie Sinatra, so.
Well, I'll say, Chief, in the past, the council's been very, very proactive, and anything Chief Fertusco wanted and more, usually, we were always behind that to, have this police support, and this would get the option 4 sounds really great, getting this right almost to the 100%.
Yeah.
Which is good for everything, and that's why I was just kind of wondering about the K-9 thing, just because it's like, well, we have a whole bunch more patrol, but what if one of them was a K-9? Does that help anything in the city? But if the response time from South County is great, then
Yeah, they unincorporated, and they actually are you know, the K-9 team, the way that unincorporated is going is they're probably going to have their own designated K-9 team. And again, I'm speaking in the future, but they're working towards that, to where they would have be able to take a group of K-9s, detach them from patrol, have a sergeant over them, and then they would actually be able to just go to where the K-9s are needed, rather than going so much for calls for service. So that would even benefit us more, because if we needed a K-9, they wouldn't be tied up on another call that they couldn't respond for. They'd be able to come to us. So, yeah.
Councilman Biggs, I think that Chief Hessing actually sold Amway at one time before he joined the force, and he learned as a salesman, you start out at the very top, and then you work your way down. You can't work, from the low to the high. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Chief, I don't know if this is it's a fair question or not. Do you have measurable results from the 2025 added positions?
From the 2025 ADA positions, is that what you said?
Added positions. We added.
Added. So I don't have, just the results that I went over briefly on that citizen. I can kind of tell you what we added over the last few years. And as you see that we're adding, even though, population of CUNA is growing, we're also adding, and you can see that we're heading in the right direction as far as crime rate and case closed. So in 2024, according to my research, we added 1 admin sergeant, 2 motors, 2 detectives, and 1 code enforcement. In 2025, we added 2 deputies, and then in 2026, the last fiscal year, we added 2 patrol sergeants, 1 domestic and 1 domestic battery detective. So I can dig into more stats of like what they handled.
Yeah.
But if you look at what we've added, and then you look over at crimes per 100,000 residents, and you can kind of see the correlation between what we added those years and what the crime rate as well as the percentage of crimes solved, they kind of correlate each other.
Yeah, I got it.
If that makes sense.
I mean, what I extracted from you is that we know the population increased 22%. The dispatch calls were up approximately 30%, and the P2 high priority calls were up approximately 54%. So there's clearly a need.
Yeah.
Clearly a need. Option 4.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, so that takes us to Jared Emby.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Jared, Deputy City Treasurer. So I'm over finance, and as you can see, we have various functions within finance. One is daily cash reconciliation and cash flow management. 2, monthly utility billing. We have approximately 13,000 accounts. I looked it up today, and we actually have, as of the end of last month, we have 13,140 accounts, and 12,832 have usage. The ones that do not have usage generally are ones that are ready to come online within the next month or 2. That said, every year we have new account setup ranges from about 550 on a slow year to about 1,300 each year. And so last year we had about, if you look at the last rolling 12 months, we had about 1,300 new accounts added. Also, as part of that, I'm the IT liaison along with Adam with the city. With that, we manage the telephones and PC hardware. Verizon is our preferred user for cell phones, and PC hardware, that's CMIT is our preferred vendor on that. We also, within finance, do expense management and accounts payable. Just for reference, in fiscal 25, we were able to print 2,641 checks, and so that's generally our caseload on that. And then also, as part of our functions, citywide budgeting. So after everything has been compiled, we ensure that all requests pencil out and are actually possible. We also ensure that long-range budgeting is also accounted for. Financial statement preparation, monthly and annual, and then also annual audit support to ensure that we pass audit. Next slide. So our current staffing is me, and then a deputy treasurer, Bill Jackson. Then we have 3 in utility billing, and also accounts payable. The staffing requests are to maintain current staffing for fiscal 27. Despite the growth that we've experienced over the last 5 to 7 years, we utilize Express Bill Pay and BDS to process payments. Currently, we have about 80% of our accounts that are processed through Express Bill Pay, and so that was actually 9,822 accounts last month used Express Bill Pay. So despite the increased growth, we are able to use that third-party bill processor to maintain our current staffing and not overburden our staff. In addition, despite growth in the city, average accounts payable batch has only grown 23%. And then I did some figuring on how many checks we actually process each year. And as I stated prior, in fiscal 2025, we processed 2,641 checks. And surprisingly, in 2019, we did about 2,426 checks. So despite additional cash outflows due to inflation or other factors, our actual checks processed were only 9% more. So for that reason, we're able to maintain current staffing and create better economies of scale due to the checks that are processed are actually about the same, despite growth in the city. Let's see. And then the only capital projects we have are IT upgrades, and which is okay, good. The only capital project we have are IT upgrades, which would be $70,000 that would be split among all funds in the event of failure to a server or other large IT infrastructure. All other IT replacements would generally be done through operations and maintenance due to the small nature of the expenditures. And then as part of this, so that pretty much concludes the initial budget workshop with the presentations. And as part of that, in the next meeting at June 16th, we'll be having our next meeting in which we will bring everything together and show how everything fits from a fiscal standpoint and how everything's going to be paid for. Also, and at that meeting, you'd be able to offer your input to the process. At the June 21st meeting, that would be the passage of the tentative budget. At that point, all budgeting would essentially be finalized from a city standpoint and also from a council standpoint, in which we would then carry forward that budget to August 18th for the budget hearing, in which we would finalize our budget and be able to submit to the county and then the state tax commission.
You said June 21st. Did you mean July 21st?
Oh, yes,
Okay,
that's
got it.
correct. Yep, July 21st would be that tentative budget passage. So with that, I'd just stand for any questions.
Okay, any questions for Jared? Is there anything you need from us this evening to put together the next part of your?
No, I don't think so. I think that at the next meeting, that's when we'd be able to show the entire picture and show exactly what we can afford and what we cannot. And so I think that given that we've pretty much already gone through everything internally, we'd be able to get everything ready for next time.
Okay, all right, very good.
Thank you, Jared.
And again, that's why I don't need a chief of staff. All right, very good. Oh, the anticipation for an ordinance. All right, consideration to approve ordinance 2026-16, a municipal annexation and zoning ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cuna, making certain findings and declaration of authority and annexing certain real property, to wit, Ada County Assessor's parcel number S141913130, owned by TH Holdings 2022 LLC, within unincorporated area of Ada County and contiguous to the corporate limits of the City of Cuna into the City of Cuna, Idaho, and establishing the zoning classifications of said real property and directing the city engineer and the city clerk and providing an effective date.
I move we waive 3 readings of ordinance 2026-16.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to waive the 3 readings. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I move we approve ordinance 2026-16.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded for approval. Nathan, would you poll the council?
Councilmember McPherson?
Yes.
Councilmember Biggs?
Yes.
Councilmember Rocco?
Yes.
Council President Bruce?
Yes.
And that motion carries. And that is all we have on the agenda for tonight. Friday at 2 o'clock, we will have the unveiling, I guess, of the mural. I can't say it. The mural down on the American, the
VFW building,
post
yeah.
hall.
Spit it out.
Been a
It's
long
a good
day,
thing
huh?
that ordinance wasn't any
Yeah.
longer than it was. We did get the, we found out today that the sign out front works. Apparently they had wired it into the electric eye up on the roof, so it only came on at night, so we didn't even know it was working till a neighbor complained that it was too bright at night, and we're like, well, it's not even on, I don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, so we can adjust the brightness, so Sulema's been working on and playing with that today, so right now it just says, welcome to Cuna, and has the date and temperature on it, so that's exciting to get that up and running, and hopefully tomorrow we can have that advertised for the unveiling, so. Anyway, anybody else have anything you need to?
No, I just want to say thank you to the directors. I appreciate that. That gives, people that go back and watch it, an understanding of what every department's doing, so.
Yeah, very nice to go through this time. Very smooth and.
I think it puts it down in writing how much work everybody does here.
Yeah.
It's not just one thing that they are all in charge of, and certainly deserves kudos.
Yeah, what department oversees, because the notifications that come out via email, I think it's spectacular. Is it coming out of the clerk's office when there's a different event happening? I mean, who's actually doing it?
Zulema runs the website, and so it used to be in the clerk's office. Once Zulema took that position, she took over communications through the website and everything else. So she's established a really good routine and protocol for getting all the information out.
There you go. And why no one else can have her. All right, well, with that, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.